Okay, maybe we'll get started. Our main topic today is going to be scams and cyber threats by myself, Tom Kreuzer. During the presentation, you can mute your audio, and if you want, you can turn off your video. You can turn it back on after I'm done with the presentation for the Q&A. You can use the chat to ask a question at any time during the presentation. And the handout is out on the PC Club website in the past meetings files, and Jim will add it to the chat in a little bit there. Oh, somebody just joined us, and we're getting your audio. If you could mute, thank you. Okay, the agenda, we'll cover some club stuff first and then get to the main topic. Coming up this Friday, we do have the Macintosh SIG, and that's Friday, February 18th. They cover a wide variety of stuff, so if you do have an iPad, an iPhone, or a Mac, it's well worth your time to sit in on there. Theirs is a little more informal, but they have lots of good information there, and so you can see they'll cover a few topics there. Then we do have our monthly question and answer. Our next monthly question and answer is usually the first Tuesday of the month, so that'll be March 1st. And then our topic in March, our general topic in March is going to be on smartphone to car interface. By myself, Tom Kreuzer, we'll talk about basic phone connections, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and some of the options there. These are our officers. Jim is our president, Linda is our vice president, Paul's our membership secretary, Paula is our treasurer, Chuck is our recording secretary, Mike is the MacSig, Andrew is our communication coordinator, and I'm Tom, I'm the director at large. Members old and new, you can pay your dues to Paul Ebert. He does send out emails when your membership expires, so we don't have everybody expiring on the same date. It's all different dates throughout the year. So if you haven't received a notice to pay your dues, chances are yours is coming up in a few months then. So just wait for your email. Also a reminder, if you do change your email, make sure and notify us so that we can keep in touch. Oh, could somebody mute themselves there? We're getting some feedback there. Suggestions for topics. You can email your ideas for topics or talk to any of the board members. We're always looking for people to volunteer or present on could be a piece of hardware that you have or some software that you use. Could be something that you do at work or at home. If you don't want to present, we do have a monthly eBytes newsletter, and we'd love to have you share your experiences in short, meaning a sentence or two, or multiple pages with graphics, whatever you can do there. Out on our website, we do post the past meetings, slides, and handouts, and when we can record them, that's also out there. So if you miss any of them or want to revisit, go out to the club website there. We also have our deal section. We have our monthly newsletter, and this is a link here. We also send the link with all the emails there. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is on scams and cyber threats by myself, Tom Kreuzer. It can be scary out there in the world because there are a lot of people looking to deceive you and get information. So hopefully you'll get some good information here that'll help you protect yourself. Okay, in the classic musical production, The Music Man, the con man, Henry Hill, frightens the townsfolk into believing that they've got trouble right here in River City. Once he has them quaking in their boots, he's right there with a solution for a price. Grifters and con men have shown up forever. Since the dawn of civilization, there's been people trying to separate you from your money or goods or whatever they have. So it's not unusual that with the world of technology and email and that, they've evolved into finding ways to scam people with the new technologies. There are many different types of scams that try and convince you to send money or enable access to financial accounts. Scammers today use telephone calls, emails, text messages, websites, pop-up ads, and postal mail. So we're not talking about viruses, we're talking about scams. And scams are kind of a totally different category than a virus or that. Uh, Scammers are trying to separate you from your money or your access to your accounts. Unlike the movies, most scams don't have a happy ending. So again, hopefully you'll pick up some good tips to keep you safe there. Let's talk about some of the most common scams around. And the number one scam is what's called phishing. And phishing is impersonating another company or that you may be doing business with. So in phishing, you usually have an official looking email, could be a telephone call, or could be a website saying that your account has some kind of problem. It's been hacked or it will be shut down immediately. They try and get victims to click on a link, to make a call, or to open an attachment to get your account password and other financial information. So this is an example over here, trusted bank, but in Minnesota, most people that fall for it will fall for it. They'll send people in Minnesota specifically. It used to be TCF, Wells Fargo, US Bank. So they know the local banks or what most people may have, and they'll send it out to everybody there. And this is just an email that came out, and it says, "Oh, dear valued customer, we've received notice that you have recently attempted to withdraw the following amount from your checking account, $135. If this information is not correct, they want you to visit the website below, and they've got a link. And if you click on the link, it's going to ask you to log in. They capture your account name and password, and then they can try and drain your account." So a relatively common deal there. Little tip, hang up. So if it's a telephone call and somebody says, "This is your bank, we've seen suspicious activity," just hang up on them. Obviously, don't click on any link. You should use an alternate method to contact the company that sent you the email or did the telephone call and ask if your account has been compromised. And frequently you can do that uh, by looking at a past statement, or if you've have in your contacts your bank, that should have a telephone number you can call there. Don't call their number that they list in the email. Don't talk to them on the phone. Do your own calling. Use your own links. Use your own favorites to get to your bank there. Okay, the second most common scam is what's known as a tech support scams. This is where you receive an unexpected call or a pop-up. You could be in Windows or browsing around on the internet, and a pop-up comes up, a message on your computer warning you of an issue, such as a virus or malware, or the device is not protected, your antivirus is expiring. The caller or pop-up claims to be from tech support and asks for access to your computer to fix the issue. Typically, the scammer will ask you to type a specific command to enable access. Once they have control of your computer, they may require a payment for technical assistance, or they may install malicious software, or they may make changes and settings on your computer, making it vulnerable. They also, in some cases, sell you unneeded software. So they'll say, "We've got software for your router or for your antivirus, and if you pay us a fee, we'll install it and it'll protect you there." And they'll ask you to log into your bank account, possibly to try and steal financial information. And this could make it look like it came from Microsoft or Apple. Well, Microsoft and Apple never call people, so the tip off is it's never true there. Beware of scammers impersonating a tech support company, a fraud department, or a government agency. Never give them control of your computer or login information. Okay, some other scams. Family and friend member imposter. This is where you receive a call or an email from somebody that appears to be legitimate because the scammer knows specific information about you, your family, or friends. Scammers trick you into believing they are a friend or family member, claiming to need money for an emergency, such as posting bail, paying a hospital bill, or being detained at the airport. Scammers pressure you to send money immediately through an online wire or other payment service. The tip here, contact your friend or family, another other family member directly to confirm the caller's story. So don't believe them. And usually they'll have the names of your family because maybe they got access to your Facebook or you've been posting or Instagram or other sources. They know your relatives, they know names, they may know birthdays, things like that. So you got to be careful. Another scam is what's called the IRS scam. You receive a phone call claiming to be the IRS that you owe them money. They demand that you pay immediately or you will be arrested. The IRS never calls people and never demands money or gift cards. Another one is online dating. Scammers use online dating sites, social network, chat rooms to meet potential victims. They create fake profiles to build online relationships and eventually request that you send money due to a hardship. Don't give personal information, account numbers, or credit card information to somebody you recently met online. This actually happened to a cousin of mine a couple months ago. He heard from one of his brothers about this online dating site where he had met a nice woman. And so he went out to the online dating site and started chatting with this woman that was supposedly in the Army. And she was stationed in West Virginia, and she had a son. Well, after chatting a little while, the woman mentions that her son his birthday is coming up, and it'd be nice if the gentleman here would send her son iTunes gift card, and he proceeded to send a $20 gift card to the person, and I was telling him about this upcoming meeting I was going to be doing on scams, and I said, yeah, a lot of people fall for these things, and he goes, yeah, that's what they were asking for this, and they were asking for that, and so we immediately did some of the things where you can do a reverse Google search of images or pictures of people. And we found this supposed woman's picture on a number of profiles and under a number of different names. So it was a scam, obviously, and but at least he didn't go too deep into it. Okay, another common scam, online loan scams. So beware of loan offers on social media or online ads. They'll maybe say, oh, we have a low rate or refinance and we'll save you so much money. Just click here, and they start asking you questions about your bank accounts, the amounts, and things like that. And it's usually a scammer trying to impersonate a loan company, and they're looking to empty your bank account once you share your financial data. Watch out for the warning signs such as the lender demanding a prepaid debit card or pressuring you to act immediately. Gotta act today, otherwise the interest rates are going up or this deal is only available for a limited time. When applying for a loan, go to a trusted website instead of clicking on a link in an ad. Another form is ransomware. You may unknowingly download a type of malicious software to your computer. This software is designed to block access to your operating system. and encrypt the data on the hard drive. So the information stored on your PC is held in ransom until you pay a sum of money to this person who took over your computer. The tip there, back up your data regularly by syncing your files to a secure external drive. So it does no good to copy it to an external drive if that external drive also gets encrypted as part of it. So it has to be, you have to have a good strategy for backup, or it could be to a backup service such as the cloud storage. And you've probably heard a number of these happening to government agencies or small businesses. If you don't keep your software up to date, which a lot of small businesses don't do, they're running older versions of Windows, they haven't been updated. Uh, they are highly susceptible to these ransomware attacks, and it's relatively easy to do. And once the attack strikes, let's say the government agency, could be a city computers, they can get upwards of, I think the highest that I've seen is maybe $100 million in ransom, because the city didn't back up their data and they didn't want to lose their data, so they had to end up paying the ransom. But again, if you've got your data backed up, worst case scenario, if you accidentally do get the software on your machine, is you reinstall Windows, you copy your data back, and you're back up ready to go.
Bowling out, yeah.
Oh, somebody's not muted there. If you could make sure that you're muted. Okay, another scam is lottery or sweepstakes. You receive a phone call, an email, or a letter stating that you've won a lottery or a sweepstakes. Scammers require you to pay a fee to receive the prize to avoid taxes or additional fees, or may even threaten to report you to the IRS or police if you didn't make the requested payment. Legitimate lotteries pay taxes directly to the government rather than being reimbursed from the winner's proceeds. So don't fall for that. Check or account deposits. Scammers send you a fake check or make a deposit into your account. Once the money is deposited, you're asked to send all or part of it back. After you send the money, you find out, could be a day, could be upwards of even a week later, you find that the check bounced and that the deposit is fraudulent. And so your bank undoes the deposit there, and you're left with the money that you sent back to the scammer there. You lost all that. Note, you're responsible for the full amount of the check you deposited and the associated check fees if it bounces. It may take up to 10 business days for a check to be discovered as fraudulent and returned to the bank. So some people will say, well, it was a cashier's check, it had to be good. No, cashier's checks really are no different than any other check. The person who requests it could say that somebody stole my cashier's check, and they show proof to the bank, and the bank gives them their money back. In the meantime, this other person who's getting scammed has deposited into their bank, sent them money back. So it's a lose situation for the person involved. Okay, that's kind of the majority of the scams. There are hundreds of variations of these scams and that, but we can't go into all the different variations there. And it's easy to feel that these scams and threats are beyond hope, but don't give up hope. Don't be scared. It's easy to protect yourself. It's easy to not fall victim to a scam there. And we'll go over a number of tips here. So some tips to protect yourself. Be wary of get-rich-quick schemes, huge discounts, or low prices. If an offer seems too good to be true, it probably is. This includes a number of cryptocurrency things going around. People have FOMO, fear of missing out, and they want to take advantage. They see an ad, or they see a friend, an email from a friend saying do this, and they click on it and they get pulled into the scam. Watch for language that creates unnecessary urgency. So all of these scams, even Professor Hill and the Music Man, it's this sense of urgency. We've got to act right away. Things are out of hand. If we don't act right away here, it's only going to get worse. So they try and amp it up with their urgency. Their goal is to get you to act without first thinking it through carefully, or maybe checking with other family members or friends. Is this the right thing to do? Don't send money or give your account information to anybody that you don't know. And doesn't matter if they claim to be Microsoft or Apple or whoever, your bank, don't give them any of that information. Be wary of an unexpected request for payment for a good, a service, or a fee through any form of communication. Don't send money back to somebody who has provided a check or overpayment for goods or services. This is that bounce check kind of a deal. It looks like it cleared and went into your bank account, and they're saying, well, I accidentally sent it to you. Could you send me money back? And for your prompt response back, I sent you $1,000. Only send me back $700 and keep $300 yourself. Well, at the end of the day, that $1,000 that you thought was deposited in your account is going to be undone in your account. Your bank is going to undo the transaction because it's a phony deposit, and you're going to be held responsible for the $700. So it's a lose for you. Use secure websites and apps for payments and shopping, and only with merchants that you trust. Use a zero trust mindset. This is a term I heard. I listened to a podcast from the AARP on scams because I'm interested in scams and mysteries, Dateline mysteries, things like that. But in this last week, they talked about having a zero trust mindset, where you only trust after you verify. So again, if somebody calls you on the phone, caller IDs, email addresses, or any social media account can be faked, spoofed, or hacked. So don't trust text messages, things like that, until you can verify that it actually did come from the appropriate place. And this is, I mentioned here, be a doubting Thomas. So it's good to be a doubting Thomas when you get any of these things that pop up. Keep security patches, and antivirus software up to date on your computer, your internet browsers, and your mobile devices. So you do want to have that in place so that things like the ransomware or stuff like that can't happen. Don't automatically download any attachments. You can turn that off in the email package that you have, such that you only download the attachments when you open it up or want to work with it. But having them automatically downloaded, if it is from a spammer or a faker or a hacker there, you're potentially running software on your machine that you shouldn't have running. Don't click on links, don't open attachments, or provide sensitive information through a suspicious email or text message, even if the sender appears to be a reputable company or somebody you know. Access a company's website by using a reputable search engine or an old bookmark that you have in your browser, or if you're using a password manager. I use a password manager. The password manager is only going to fill in accounts and passwords on sites that I have listed as valid in my password manager. So if I'm attempting to log into an Amazon, it knows that this is not an Amazon URL or site, and will not fill in the account and password. So it's another way to protect yourself. Never give control to your computer to anyone who contacts you. So there is no such thing as Apple support or Microsoft support there to help you out. Don't rely on caller ID. That can be fake. Spammers can spoof the name of a company, so I could make it look like it's the IRS calling or the sheriff's department, or I'm calling from Amazon. I can make that caller ID say anything I want, and I can make it show any phone number that I want. Never pay or donate using a gift card, a prepaid card, Zelle, Venmo, or cryptocurrency. It's a scam. Protect your passwords and create strong passwords that are different for each site and app. Change them routinely and never reuse old ones. Strong passwords should be impossible for hackers to guess. Never use family names, phone numbers, birth dates, or other social info that can be found on Facebook or other sources. And we talked before, I recommend using a password manager, Bitwarden. In the past, I recommended LastPass, but LastPass, if you have multiple devices, you have to pay a fee. Bitwarden works on all devices and is free. To manage your passwords across your devices, it'll auto-fill forms out for you, like with your address and things like that. You can put your credit cards in there to have it autofill. It can perform auto logons, and it secures your data. And it's all ruled by one master password. Do not, and this is general, some people use the save password feature in their browser, whether it's Chrome or IE. I do not recommend that. That's not as safe as using a password manager. Plus, it's a case of the password managers have more features and functions that you don't have in these save with the browser. Okay, another tip, enable two-factor authentication, 2FA, where you use a secondary form of authentication like a text message, a phone call, or an email. This is especially as important for financial sites, banking sites, and even your email account. So this is a little example here of Ally. I have Ally CDs, and to get into my Ally account, it sends a security code to my phone, and then I use that to do the two-factor authentication to get into my account. Also, you can use a mobile-based payment system like Apple Pay or Android Pay. This is more secure than using your physical credit card numbers and entering those into websites. Also, PayPal can also be used instead of providing your credit card. This is especially true if you're dealing with small companies or sellers that you're not really sure of. If I pay by PayPal, that person is not seeing my credit card number. They're interacting with PayPal, which is insulating my credit card number from the seller. And if I have any problem, I can go back to my credit card and dispute a charge, or I can go to PayPal and dispute a charge. So you have some recourse if there is a problem. This is another one. Watch your credit card and bank statements for unexpected charges and payments. On almost all bank accounts and credit cards now, you can turn alerts or notifications on from your bank, your brokerage, and your credit cards. And most of them will let you set a transaction limit if you start getting too many alerts or that. This is an example from my Fidelity credit card. When I bought something in a store, then I see this pop up, and Fidelity sends them out once an evening. So it isn't immediate, but once an evening when it gets posted, I see this, and I can then keep track of this instead of waiting to the end of the month and getting a statement and going, where did this charge come from? I don't recall doing this. you just stay on top of the game there. You can also request one free credit report a year from these 3 credit services. So there's 3 credit services in the United States, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And so you can go to this link and get a credit report. You can look for unusual activity if they're trying to open credit cards, other credit cards that you may not be familiar with. It'll pop up on the credit report there. You can space out these 3 to one of these every 4 months, and so you can monitor your activity there for all throughout the year by spacing it out. The other thing you can do with these credit reporting services is you can do what's called freezing your credit. Freezing your credit stops anyone from opening a new credit card or requesting loans or services in your name. And if you do have to unfreeze, let's say you're buying a car or you're going to open a new credit card, you can unfreeze the credit report capability as needed there. And these are the links to the various services to freeze your credit. Doesn't cost anything to do, and again, protects you from somebody who may fraudulently try and open a new credit card or get a new loan or manipulate things. You can also check to see if some of your information has been stolen. You can go to the site, and I list the URL here. It's called Have I Been Pawned? Pawned is a slang term that describes defeat. It provides a comprehensive list, the most comprehensive list on the internet of major data breaches. So let's see if we can go out here. I'm going to go out. Oh, let me see. I have to go back here. Oh, what's going on here? Yeah.
Hold down your control key.
That's what I did. It's acting up a little bit there. We'll do this manually here. Let's see. No, that's not. Yeah. We'll go the old way here. Let me. Where am I here? Sorry about that. Let's get a new one here. So have I been pawned? And you just put it, you can put in your email or telephone number and look in its database to see. So my email, TCKRUZR, where are we? gmail.com. And so I put in my email here and it comes up, oh no, you've been pawned. I've been in 7 data breaches. And I'd be surprised if you have an email that you've had for a month or 2 months, chances are your email has been harvested in a data breach. And so this kind of tells you, and then it's a case of, it does have some tips to help you, but it'll tell you what data breaches it was involved with. So this is one data breach. It'll tell you what data was stolen in that data breach: email addresses, IP addresses, names, passwords, LinkedIn, white pages. So this is their overall statistics. There's been 11 trillion pound accounts. So that's why I say almost every account that you have data has been stolen off of it in some form there. And don't be alarmed if your email shows up in here, because like I say, you don't hear me being being worried there. It's a case of I change my passwords. I use a password manager. I'm not using the same passwords for accounts. So as an example, let's say this web host. This is when the PC Club, we had an old website out on this service. Well, this web service was hacked and they stole the email addresses, names, and passwords. Well, the names or the passwords, I don't use the same password and change the password after this initially happened. So it doesn't matter if somebody tries to use that old password to try and get into a bank account or try and do anything, they're going to be unsuccessful with that password. It's not going to be valuable to them. So let's go back here. So you can check and see what's out there. It's just kind of interesting there. But don't be alarmed if you're out there. You should be changing your passwords, and you should make it so that people can't guess them, and you're not reusing them and things like that. You can also install a Chrome extension, and it's called Password Checkup. This Chrome extension also works the same way for Internet Explorer, the Edge. So you could download it for that also. It'll tell you if your account and password that you're using at a site has been hacked, is out on the dark web. So it looks at the name, username, and password as you're going to these various sites, and it'll tell you whether it's been exposed or not. Okay, some more tips here. Sign up for credit monitoring. You can constantly monitor your credit report on major credit bureaus and alerts. So there's that free service where you can go to the three vendors there to get a credit report once a year, or this is monthly monitoring or getting alerts. You can sign up for that. It'll help you monitor. You can set fraud alerts to notify you if someone is trying to use your identity or create credit. And you've probably seen the ads on TV for LifeLock, $1 million. They'll back you up, and they'll do a lot of monitoring. The monitoring, the different levels can cost you anywhere from $10 to $30 a month. Or there actually are free services like Credit Karma that will do not as elaborate credit monitoring, but they're out there also. This just recently came up again, so my email and that was involved in the Equifax data breach back in 2017. And in that breach, 147 million Americans, their accounts and information was compromised. There's been a lawsuit going on ever since 2017, and it was just finally settled in February here, February of 2022. And when the lawsuit first started out, if you went out to the site and you registered for the class action lawsuit, you had the option at that time to potentially take a choice of up to $125 in cash or free credit monitoring from Experian for 4 years. Since I figured there's going to be millions of people signing up for the cash, I went with the free credit monitoring for 4 years. And like I say, just this month, I got an email from the class action suit with the code that I could sign up for Experian and get 4 years of free credit monitoring. So if you did sign up for the data breach, you should have received the email, and I think you have a month or so to sign up for your free credit reporting there for 4 years. So it's a good deal. Some other tips: make sure you have antivirus installed, updated, and configured correctly. Keep device operating systems and apps updated. Old versions have vulnerabilities. So if you're still running Windows 7, get rid of it. Windows 7 is not being updated, is vulnerable. You should not be using a computer that's running Windows 7. And pretty soon Windows 8 will fall into that category. and Windows 10 will fall into that category after 2025. So we do have almost 4 years there, and then Windows 10 will no longer be updated. For your tablet or phone, never download apps from outside of the Google Play or Apple App Store. So if there's a link in an email or a friend or a company says, click here to install our app, well, their app should be out on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. If they're out there, those services are screening the apps for viruses and that. So don't go out to other sites and install apps. Be mindful of every app you install and what permissions you give it. So if I download, let's say, a weather app that's going to give me the current temperatures out there, I shouldn't have to give it access to my data files or access to my contacts or access to my photos. If it starts asking for that, that's a bad app. I wouldn't use that app. Now, if you have a personal laptop, you can, if you haven't already, you can encrypt the laptop and make sure that you use a password to log into your laptop. If you're using 3Ms, laptops are already encrypted, which means if you lost the laptop and somebody got it, they couldn't take the hard drive out of there and harvest data off of that hard drive. The only thing they'd be able to do to that laptop or hard drive is reformat it and kind of start all over, but they wouldn't be able to get at any of the data that's on there. Always assume text or SMS messages are public, so don't send passwords, social security, or other confidential information. If security is needed, use encrypted apps. So most of the banks and financial do have sites and apps that do allow you to send data without going through an email or a text message. Don't send private information through these forms. Public Wi-Fi networks at a coffee shop, be wary of those. Can sometimes be public there and may expose personal information like IDs and passwords. If you must use it and you're not sure whether the website is secure or encrypted, you can use your smartphone hotspot to connect to the network that way. If you use a public PC, log off when you're finished and close your browser completely. Use an email account like Gmail that notifies you when your account has been used on a new device. If it was not you using the new device, you should immediately change the password and disconnect that device. You can drop that device from access. Consider one dedicated email for signing up for apps that you want to try, but which might have questionable security or which might spam you. After you vetted the app and determine that it's good and authentic, then you can sign up or change to your permanent email. Many sites use your email address as the account name, but some let you select a different username there. Phone scams, block numbers, hang up. So you can block their number, you can hang up, never give account information, never send money or gift cards, only answer calls from businesses and people that you have in your contact list. Others could leave a voicemail and you'll get back to them. Facebook data. Any friends or companies you like have access to some or all of your personal information, your contacts, and your location. Limit what you like. Only fill out required fields in your account and consider using false info for dates like birthdays. You can limit some exposure in the privacy settings. Do not use your Facebook as a logon to other apps. Set up a new account and password for each of these other apps or sites so that you do not, so if there is a breach of any kind, it's not affecting multiple accounts or multiple sites. Browser, limit tracking using the private or incognito mode found in most browsers. A VPN can help protect your privacy when you're on a public Wi-Fi. Personally, I don't see a need for that other than the public Wi-Fi because of the overhead and problems that it can cause, but some people feel a little more safer with a VPN. As they say, if you're not paying for a site, app, or service, then you are the product. Those sites, apps, and services work hard to collect your data and monetize your information. Be cautious of downloading browser extensions and delete ones you no longer need. 8 widely used browser extensions have been caught harvesting data from an estimated 4 million consumers who use the Chrome browser and Firefox. The extensions collected a host of information that wasn't authorized by either browser, exposing not only completed browsing history, but also access to files such as tax returns, medical records, credit cards, and other highly sensitive data. All of these extensions have been removed from or disabled in consumer browsers and are no longer available to download, but hackers are always coming up with new extensions and new attacks. Okay, we'll check the chat here and see. Let me stop sharing. If I can get this. Let's go back here. So let's check the chat here. Let's see, let's go back to the beginning here. Here's today's handout. So if you don't have the handout, Jim put it out there. California has been in the news recently for having paid millions of dollars to fraudulent unemployment claims and ransomware. Let's see here again, today's handout. Can anyone do a reverse Google search on an image? Yes, anyone can do a reverse Google search on an image. If you go to the search and I think it's under advanced, then you can do a reverse search. Yeah, I guess Jim did that. Mitch, you can watch a guy scamming scammers on Twitch. He's live now. I respond to this quite frequently on our neighborhood site and on our Facebook neighborhood site. People will enjoy getting back at scammers, whether it's telephone calls or texting or emails or things like that. It's the wrong thing to do because what you're setting yourself up for is even more of it. So let's say it's a telephone call. If you get the person on the other end mad at you, their response can be, let's call this telephone number 7 by 24 in the middle of the night and we'll call them 100 times there. So there's no benefit for you staying on the line. Some people figure, well, the benefit is I'm wasting their time. No, you're getting them mad. You don't want a scammer to be mad at you. Just hang up. That's the best that you can do there. So I do not recommend that you stay on and try and converse with people. Current scam reporting from Norton. I get 2 to 3 emails a day. Haven't used Norton. Yes. That's a frequent one. I mentioned the virus. Your virus is expired. Your machine is unprotected. Click here to sign up or to check. Again, don't do it. Let's see. Tom, last year we had trouble with somebody, a bad person, trying to take out loans in her name. Was alerted to the loan application by receiving a letter from Wells Fargo indicating more information is needed to process the loan. Yeah, and that's where those credit reports are handy and keeping up to date, because if your identity has been stolen, so they have your social security, and I can buy most people's social security out on the dark web. That information is for sale, and in some cases that's as cheap as 50 cents. If I want a more complete picture with addresses, cars that you've owned, things like that, that costs a little bit more money. But still, you're talking about $4, $5 for a ton of information about a person, which I could then use to try and do identity theft there. And Paul says, except for the PC Club membership. So, yeah, we don't keep information there. We don't make it, we don't sell our list to anybody. And the only information we keep now is your email address and potentially a telephone number. So we keep next to no information and don't sell it or share it with anybody else.
And that was referring to payment methods too.
Okay, yeah, the payment methods would be the same there. It's okay to use these services where you know the person, where you don't know the person and you don't know what's going on. Certainly be suspicious there. Yeah, and Mitch mentions the credit bureau freezes. I highly recommend freezing there. The few times that you may need to unfreeze it, it's not that difficult to unfreeze it to get it. But it.
Yep, Tom, this is Ken. I would highly recommend freezing all three of them and leave it that way permanently. That's what prevented the loans from going through and that. And also, if someone obviously wants to get a credit card in your name and that, freezing those three, the Wells Fargo and the credit and the Navy Credit Union highly recommended that. So.
No, and that's there. It is a little bit of a hassle. So let's say you're going in and buying a new car or that, and you need a loan. Well, then you may have to unfreeze it at that time for a short period there. But
yeah,
you're safe.
And they have it. Yeah, and the option to unfreeze for 24 hours is part of the unfreeze option. So
yeah,
you just have to ask the dealership which of the three credit unions they're going to go check your credit against. And I took out a car loan last year and didn't ask. They went to one of the credit unions, but not the one that I had taken the freeze out on. And so then they got blocked until I took it off the one that they were going after. So you have to ask which one they're going to go to. So.
Okay. No, good advice there. Let's see. Paula says we were trying to get an apartment for our son in Austin, Texas. The rental manager wanted PayPal payments, but got extremely mad when we would not pay through the business account of PayPal, which let me know it was a scam. Yeah. So there's lots of housing rental scams and things like that where you again be a doubting Thomas. Trust after you verified, and these things you should be able to verify that. Yeah, let's see, Paula probably responded there if you close. Yeah, so you can see who you're actually paying in PayPal, the name of the account, and again, if it looks like a personal account, that should be a red flag that this is not correct there. Ken says, suggest using HTTPS with your business browser favorites. Most sites will allow. Almost all sites now are HTTPS. In the past, the S stands for secure, and there's overhead involved using the security, but in the old days when you had a dial-up 300 baud network or 1200 baud, that was a little different than what we have now with gigabyte speed. So most sites are now secure sites with encryption, and that protects you whether you're on a public Wi-Fi or anywhere from anyone snooping at data in between you and the site that you're going to.
The thing though is a lot of people have their favorites saved as HTTP without the S, and so you might want to go in and manually add the S to the URL.
You can't do that. So it's really a question of how the business set it up. So in the past, if a business had a non-secure site, it should have auto forwarded to the secure site. So you won't see a situation where you'll have to go in and put the S at the end. They either are a secure site, or if it isn't, they're kind of dumb. Because if you'll notice, the PC Club is a secure site. We pay nothing for our fee to have that. So
Okay.
it is a case of 99.9% of the sites are secure sites now, and you won't find hardly any sites that aren't secure, except if you've got some really old or stupid people running the sites. So, and that you won't find like in a bank or any business that is with any knowledge whatsoever. So, it again used to be a problem 10 years ago, or 10 or 20 years ago. Now it's really 99.9% of them are secure there. Okay, Mitch says, I use Signal for secure messaging. Yeah, there are secure messaging systems, but again, if you're dealing with your bank or financial institution, almost every bank and financial institution has a mechanism to send secure messages, which means that you're not using any messaging system, any public. It's going from point to point. So that's actually the best way if you're dealing, let's say, with a Fidelity or a Vanguard or a U.S. Bank or any of these places. I've used sent tax returns, executor documents, things like that on all of these without a problem there. You just have to ask them if they don't have it, they should have some mechanism for doing it. Okay, Paula mentions I go to incognito on Google, use Control Shift N, especially when I'm booking for security and annoyance. Yeah, the incognito can be handy. It doesn't pass along some of the cookies that you have and the history that you may have. So it's a good way. It's not perfect protection, but it is a little extra layer there. I signed up for Allstate Identity Protection this year on Ken's recommendation. Yeah, so there are some of these other, LifeLock and other sites there. Personally, even with the breach there, I was not impressed with the what is it? I forgot even the name, if it was Experian or that their credit monitoring. It's not much more than what you can do for free. So if you're monitoring your credit report and seeing if there's new credit cards or that, that's the tips that I gave will protect you there. Okay, Steve mentions for business sites that do not take PayPal, is it okay to allow the site to store your credit number? I understand that they do not store the CVV security code, so they don't store the complete information to use your card. Is all that correct and okay? Well, the option to store your credit card just means that somewhere in their database they have your credit card information. Personally, I don't choose that option. So it's either a site that I try and use PayPal or Google Pay, Android Pay, one of these other pay services. If there is a data breach and somebody can potentially get at some of that information, which is just one more hassle that I'd prefer not to go through there. But yeah. Jim mentions, following the death of my wife, I contacted all 3 credit bureaus requesting an update to her credit report, and certainly freezing makes sense. if you freeze the account, and so my mother just died a few months ago, and I had it frozen on her account anyway. So at this particular point, it's a case of I didn't send them a death certificate or anything because eventually that'll work through the system. And the fact that it's frozen meant that nothing could be done with it anyway. I have T-Mobile for my cell phone. Often I get a call that shows up as likely scam. I'm also never answer call numbers I don't recognize if they're legit. Yeah, and that's the standard policy is to uh, only answer calls that are in your contact list. However, I've got or had two elderly parents, and you never know if something may happen to them, and they may end up in the hospital and somebody else calling. So I do answer. I don't answer all calls that I don't know, but I do answer a number of them there. And if it does hang up or I get a bad one, I do block it. So you can usually block the call no matter who your provider is. But next time, their chances are they'll use a different number. But if you block enough of them, hang up immediately, you'll cut down on your volume of calls. If you stay on the line and talk to them, so give them 1 second. Don't even be polite with them. Don't be polite and say, "Excuse me," because they've got a script in front of them. They've got responses to every answer or question. Gee, I don't have any money, or gee, I don't own a house, or gee, I don't have this. Don't engage them in any conversation whatsoever. Okay, Bonnie, FYI, some of the research materials at library will not accept HTTPS. I'm not sure what Bonnie is talking about there. HTTPS is done at the server, so who's ever hosting the site does it at the server, and it's not something that you can control from your desktop. So putting an S at the in the URL is not going to do anything if there is not a site out there with HTTPS. So it's something that the server has to support. If some of the research material or that, this kind of harkens itself to what I talked about, where the business, in this case the federal government, is maybe 20 years behind the time with their servers and security and things like that. So get with the times, upgrade the stuff. It does take more CPU, does slow down the network a little bit, but that's we've progressed in the last 20 years.
Say, Tom,
Yes.
On the HTTPS thing, if you put the S in and the site doesn't support it, you'll just get an error message in the browser. So
yeah, it's a different address than the HTTP. So that's if I was creating a website, one of the questions when you set up the website is if you want it secure. And like I say, 99.9% of them will be secure. And if I had used the old unsecured, what I'd set up is I'd set up the capability to auto forward from the old to the secure site. And that's what reputable companies do. And so, like I say, it's rare that you see something that isn't. But if something isn't, it's either, really old stuff, or they have no money to buy new hardware, or increase their bandwidth, that kind of thing. Okay. Yeah, Bonnie mentions in order to access the site, I had to turn off access to HTTPS. So 99.9% of the sites use HTTPS, but because there's literally billions of websites out there, there's still hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of websites that are not secure. Okay, I think that's the end of the chat. If anybody does have a question, or we're gone a little bit over, but I'll take any other questions there. Or I guess Linda had her hand up at one time there.
I have just two things.
Sure.
This has been an informative meeting from so many different aspects of how things work. I have 7 Post-it notes in front of me that I'm bringing to our next Tuesday casual meeting that we're going to talk about, except for one. That is a quick question. When we're talking about frequent backups of our devices, would that personal vault that I see up in OneDrive be a place that could accommodate that, or is that, do we know how much capability that has? Because that's supposed to be another level, if I understand correctly, where I'm creating some next level password access to get that vault open. But then I could just set backups every night and just put it to that, and I'd not have to do a bunch of rigmarole that I do now. What are your thoughts, please?
Yeah, backups a full topic in itself. But your question about the vault up on the
Just
Microsoft.
location. Potential. Would that vault be a potential location or not?
Well, and it doesn't have to be the vault. The vault is another level of security. If you back up your data to the cloud, and that could be to the Microsoft cloud, could be to the Google cloud, could be to the Apple cloud. If you back up your data, you do have options on who can access it and how secure it is. So you want to have it backed up somewhere. Now, depending on your data again, if you've got gigabytes and terabytes of data, backing it up to the cloud every night may not be the fastest thing, or it may take more than 24 hours to do your backup. So it couldn't even run.
But could I not select specific files that I wanted backed up? And for example, I guess not do photos or anything like that, just critical data?
Yeah, you should have a strategy for backup. And nowadays, what I recommend to people for, let's say, like Word documents and things like that, is essentially you don't have them on the PC at all. You only have them on the cloud. The cloud is backed up 1,000 times better than you're ever going to be able to back up your own laptop or computer.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm slowly seeing my way through to that greater comfort level with OneDrive. And yeah, it's a lot of movement I still need to do, Tom, but I'm seeing the path.
No, that's
so
good.
Thank you for that. I was just when we were talking about what sounded to be maybe an easy way of securing things, that vault came to mind, because I haven't used it for anything yet.
The vault is intended for, and Google has a similar function, is intended more towards really private documents. So let's say I have my tax return. That has a lot of information on there that I wouldn't want anyone. And I don't want to accidentally share that with somebody. Whereas if you stick it in the normal Microsoft Drive and the Google Drive, you might give access to a friend or a family and unknowingly give them access to your private documents there. But if you know
what I'm coming to realize, and that's
if you know what you're doing, these vaults really aren't providing any more protection than what you had before. It's just potentially protecting you if you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, heavens. All right. Hey, one more quick question while you're there then. So I think I read on your screen something about and I presume this is on your smartphone, that you can set it up to ring only when it matches up with somebody on your contact list. And then others go into that leave message mode. That, I think, was being stated for an iPhone. Is that also true for an Android phone?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it's within the settings.
Yeah, just Google it and you'll see where to go to set that up there. But it's an option there. But just be aware that you know, it is going to go directly to voicemail, so it's as if it never rang on your phone, and you don't get a vibrate or a tone on your phone there.
That would be another setting to make sure that you have engaged, so that if something, or does it not perceive that, it goes invisibly to messaging.
Yes, it goes invisibly to messaging, and only if the person or let's say the scammer left a message, would you then get your notification that you normally get if a voicemail is left. So
see, I like it to be more of a hassle where they're not inclined to wait long enough to leave a message. But I don't, because when they do, I have not as yet figured out how I can ignore the message and just delete it without listening to it. And it seems as if I'm required to open the message, find out what it is before I can make some choices on saving it or tossing it. So I haven't gotten clarity quite on that, but okay, thank you. I'm going to leave my little pile of Post-it notes here for our next meeting, and we'll see you then. Thank you so much for this presentation today. Always we should just do this twice a year, to keep us alert, because there just are so many ways that people can get at our personal information these days if we don't be mindful of some things. So thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have maybe one last question before we disconnect? Otherwise, thanks for joining. Like Linda said, we will have a question and answer March 1st, and we do have our topic next month, which is going to be smartphones connecting to your car there. So,
ooh, good.
So,
oops, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay. Well, take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.